This is how we done the Stranger Things Barber video shoot. So we filmed this in January of 2025. So luckily it was still kind of dark out by the time we got filming, because the last thing I wanted was it to be daylight in a barber shop, and we're trying to create this kind of cool upside down dark dingy look. So the original concept for a video was going to be a model with a mullet, and what I wanted to do was have the barber all wearing blue denim like an 80s style fashion, and then do the haircut of them doing the mullet, or like a wolf shag or something along those lines. And then once that haircut was done, what I wanted was to buzz the hair off and have just kind of like the complete opposite of this nice long locks. And then I wanted all models and barber dressed in black. But finding a model that wanted to cut all their hair off was hard. So we come up with a concept of the MIND FLAYER. And I love the image in season 3 or 4, can't really remember, it's been so long, where the MIND FLAYER was in the sky and you had all like the thundery sort of legs coming down, and it just kind of framed the sky. I thought it looked amazing. And I had the idea of maybe we do something like that on the head, and we have bleached hair or black hair and just kind of like this red thick lines. I thought it'd look really cool. So reaching out to a load of colour artists, I reached out to some in America. Unfortunately, we couldn't line it up, and it seemed quite hard to kind of pull off. And then I managed to meet Ayeesha the barber, who is a fantastic colorist and barber, and she was totally game. So I sent her a voice note and pretty much described the idea. Look, what I wanted was a buzz cut, maybe like a dark brown, then we bleach it, and then we do the color work, and that's the transition, which is not as extreme from mullet to skin, or like buzz cut, but it still kind of worked. She managed to find an amazing model, and before you knew it, we got the ball rolling. We locked in a date within like a month, and I went up to Manchester in England, and thanks to London School of Barbering for letting us use their academy after hours and just left me with the keys. That was real cool. And we was able to kind of pull the chair into the middle and just kind of work from there. So with the video, I wanted to pay as much reference to Stranger Things with more of the camera shots, the technical side of it. So I looked through the internet, I rewatched the entire 4 seasons now, and I really just kind of found moments that really stood out to me that was kind of like that Stranger Things. One of them was one of my favorite clips, which is this one here, and it kind of transitions from them being in the attic, and the camera kind of does this 180 twist, and it kind of passes through the floor and it ends up in the upside down where Vecna's in the attic too. Now I wanted to recreate that. That was super hard, but I think I managed to pull it off kind of here, you know. So we used the Osmo Pocket 3 for this, just to kind of get this effect, because it has the barrel roll. And we set up the vacuum that was in the academy, and we just kind of had it in front, and we just kind of dipped it down. And we just done the motion a few times. It was one of the only times that was kind of staged where I just said, wait there a sec, I just need you to stand to the side and do this so we can kind of get that transition between reality to upside down. But with Shot List, we made an entire storyboard here, which we kind of stuck to. Luckily, I've been to the academy in Manchester before, and normally I don't do storyboards. For this one, I found it was best to do storyboards because I really wanted to kind of get some of these reference shots. Now, luckily I've been to the academy, so I kind of knew the layout, so I could work with like, okay, I can move around this pillar, or I can use this post as a reference point and stuff like that. So like, for example, the building's on a corner. So I don't know if you can see this first shot here, and that where you've kind of got the corner of the building with then the silhouette of the person, which I think we managed to recreate really well here. And then We done an original light test. Now, I found the lighting to be the hardest part for this because I didn't want it to look like a police light with the whole red and blue flashing. And the thing is as Stranger Things has developed as a story, the upside down seems to have developed, and you seem to either have a blue scene or a red scene, whereas early on the Stranger Things colours was very blue and red at the same time, so it would tend to be a blue set with like red pulses, and I wanted to create that element still. So we used the Neewer lights. So for this setup we used 4 lights. So we had a globe light on a blue setting just in front of the model, just on the left hand side, and then behind the model we had a red panel light just on a pulse back behind them, just to kind of give it that like depth. And then we had another blue panel light just to the side, just to kind of hit their face. This was also on a pulse, just to kind of give it that extra like depth. And we also had this little light which was kind of fixed to the lighting fixture above them, just to kind of give it that little light so she could see what she was doing during the haircut. And also it just added that softness to them, so it wasn't just so red and washed out. We filmed it on a Sony a6300. I took some photos on a A1, Sony A1, to kind of, so I could cover myself for full content. Now the main thing that kind of helped us build the aesthetic of the upside down was a fog machine. Now this was one that was a little bit harder because obviously we didn't want to set off any smoke alarms or anything like that. So we had to kind of keep pumping it off every now and then. And it kind of dropped out, but it also helped add that mysterious like 80s look. And it also helped direct some of the light for us to kind of soften the light, such as like back here you can see there's a real big red panel. That's a reflection. But although you can see that, if there was a bit of fog, it would kind of thicken this to be able to kind of distract from that. For weeks leading up, I was watching Stranger Things and I was searching for soundtracks, and I really didn't want to go for Running Up That Hill. I feel like it's been done to death and I think people are kind of sick of it, so I didn't want to touch on it, but I wanted to stick with an 80s theme of music. So I was searching for kind of songs that come out in that timeline. I'm a big fan of 80s music anyway, and I love a bit of Stevie Nicks, so I started off with a bit of Stevie Nicks in the background, just kind of dropped down as if it was from someone's car or something along those lines, like a radio. So to open up the video, we went with a Stevie Nicks song, just to pay reference to those 80s, and it's a great song. Color grading was all done through Premiere Pro. The entire edit was actually done through Premiere Pro. I find it most easiest to use, and then audio was also all layered and done by me. You can see the timeline here, and it's also on another video that I'll upload of the timeline alongside with the video, so you can see how it's all working. You know, like kind of where the key points are for titles, for noises, for sound effects, stuff like that. I think it was quite cool to see. So as you can see, some of the shots around me where I'm kind of directing, working, and here's some shots of me kind of filming too. It was a lot of fun, this shoot, you know, I really did enjoy it, and I feel like there's a lot more content to come from it, you know. I'm going to be posting some videos, so if you want to see those, head over to my Instagram if you want to see some of the photos that I got from the day, because I think they're some of the coolest ones. So the overall shoot took around maybe about 4 hours, I believe. So for lighting wise, what I wanted to capture, I wanted a natural sort of orange and teal to kind of match most of the color grading through Stranger Things for reality. But then for the upside down, I wanted to capture the essence of the red and the blue still without it looking like police lights. And then from there, we came up with the plan of how was we going to film this. So filming, we began with just like a blue denim and a lighter outfit for both model and Barber. We did want to look at trying to get another cape just for the upside down, whether it would just be the logo upside down or something like that. But it just weren't going to work out in time, unfortunately. So we stuck with the same cape. And then we done the original haircut, which was the skin fade, and Ayeesha done that under the blue and teal lights. Then once that was completed, we switched clothes. Ayeesha put on her black outfit, and then we started to bleach the model's hair under the red and blue lights. And then Ayeesha began to do the pattern. She did have a rough pattern mapped out from inspo that I sent her. She'd done all that, and that was the second part of the haircut. And then when it came to the edit, we just kind of aligned what was when. Luckily, we had the filming done in segments from start to finish, and the editing was just kind of aligning those. So roughly as they were doing like a part of the skin fade, maybe like the one line, which is a bit further into the haircut, we knew that we could kind of line it up with where the barber was kind of placing in the black lines, as opposed to doing the bleaching part, because that would have already been done. So the timeline kind of kept with like reality and upside down. And that's pretty much how we done this entire Stranger Things shoot. So shout out to the team. I really appreciate you jumping in on it. If you've got any more questions, drop a comment. I'll try and answer them. And if you want to see more, check it out on Nathan at Instagram.